Good afternoon and welcome to Mike and the Hossa, Wolfeboro Community Television. I'm Mike Danais.
And I'm Charlie Hossack.
Coach, let's thank our sponsors right away because we actually have a lot to get into.
We do.
So, Skelly's Market.
Morrissey's Porch and Pub.
And Downtown Grill and Cafe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, Athlete of the Week.
Yes.
You want to kick it off with the female athlete?
Absolutely. So, as you guys know, two athletes of the week. This week, we have our female athlete of the week is Emily Matos. Emily comes daily to practice with a positive attitude, putting forth great effort to improve in all areas of the game. She has already made great gains. The volleyball coaching staff is looking forward to watching her continue to learn to grow as an athlete in the sport of volleyball. So congratulations to Emily Matos.
And the male athlete of the week is Henry Saunders, plays on the golf team, and golf was the only team that has been playing so far.
Mm-hmm.
Henry is from our golf team. Henry was the medalist last week, and we've talked about what a medalist is.
The medalist is the person that scores the lowest.
That's right.
Yes.
In a match against Kennett and Wolfeboro, Henry shot a 3 over par round, leading Kingswood to victories over Wolfeboro and Kennett. He has been working hard all off season, and it is paying off with some low scores to start the year. Great work, Henry.
Awesome. Congratulations, Henry Saunders and Emily Matos.
I believe Coach Fuller is going to be reaching out to us at some point.
I can't wait.
Whether it's on the radio or on television,
Yep.
not sure. But we'll be able to get some ideas. And they're going to have 3 matches under their belt at that point when we do talk to them.
Yeah. You just mentioned something. You said radio. We're on the radio?
We are.
What do we do? Tell me.
We're live on the radio.
Live on the radio on Fridays from 4:30 to 5:30
Yep.
on WASR. That's 97.1 FM.
So Timothy's not there to fix our errors.
No, he's not. He's not. Although we've gotten an occasional text from him during the radio show.
That is true.
So,
all right. So we did This Week in Wolfeboro, and I don't know if people watch that first or not, but
well, they should watch it first because it's released at like 12:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, so it is. So
Yeah.
they get the idea of what's coming up.
Check it out. They kind of get a preview of Mike and the Hoss.
So
Like what we're wearing.
We have a full page. You can't
Man, you
see
just
it.
want to. You don't even want to interact with me today.
No, I don't.
You just want to get to the business of the day.
We have a full page of stuff going on, and we haven't had this for 6 months.
Right.
I think February was the last time that we actually talked about a game.
Yeah.
At Kingswood.
Yeah, Kingswood game, local game. Yeah. Which is I
huge.
can't wait. It's gonna be awesome.
So boys soccer's kicking it off on Friday night.
Yep.
Then football.
Mm-hmm.
Then golf on Monday.
Yeah.
And then field hockey on Tuesday. We're just talking home games.
Yeah. And then we're gonna have girls soccer under the lights on Wednesday. We've got volleyball on Thursday. Next Friday we got boys soccer again, and then next Saturday after that we got another football game. So we've got, for anyone that's in love with Kingswood sports like we are, there is a game for you pretty much every day except for Sunday.
It's like we were like a race car, went from 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds. There was no easing into it.
Nope, it's just here we go. Let's do it.
That's awesome. Very happy for the kids.
Yeah.
Looking forward to talking about results next week. We're actually going to be talking about the Kingswood football game, the Kingswood soccer game.
Yeah. And we're gonna get a chance to see a lot of these games, which is awesome. So it'll be fun to talk about.
All right. Bass fishing too. We didn't get any.
Yeah.
Bass
So bass
fishing.
fish. So the only update I have is that they ended up in 13th place in the last tournament. But I do know, I heard from my talk with Lucas Snyder this past weekend, and they have a tournament on Sunday. So Cam Yates and Lucas will be participating in that. So that's coming up. So we'll be able to report back.
Is that their end of the year tournament?
I don't know if it's the end of the year. He just said it's a tournament. So he said he would give us all the information that we needed to know about that tournament. So we'll be able to report back, and hopefully the boys will do well.
Awesome. It's time we actually started. I want us to keep getting the coaches in during the season.
Right.
Because I want to hear about the season's short.
It's really
we're
short.
looking at 4 to 5 games
Yep.
basically for everybody.
Yeah.
And so they're really just going to get, when those games start, almost like a 2-week period.
Right.
Just
Just
be
going
over.
and
So
and then
they might be too busy to talk to us.
There's some open tournaments and things like that. We're hoping though. I know for at least for football, I had reached out to Coach Landry, and I'm hoping to hear from him. You'll have to tune into the radio show for this, but he's going to give us a call on Friday just to kind of give us a preview of the Guilford game.
Okay.
So that'll be good to hear. And I'll be at, I don't know what you're doing Friday night, but I'm going to be at the boys varsity soccer game. It is senior night, and I'm looking forward to watching them. Coach Nelson is really excited, really high on this team. He's got a great core that's returning, some really strong seniors, and he's got a couple of freshmen that he's really excited about.
Who are some of the seniors?
So we have Josh Finneron.
Okay.
You know, he's a starter, and you know he's a kid that's been a varsity athlete all 4 years, so he's going to be pretty awesome to watch.
Great kid. So it's just one senior?
No, there's a few. I can't. I don't.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the
No,
spot.
you did put me on the spot, which is fine. I don't have the roster. I know there's.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few more, and you know what? And we'll highlight them for next show. I'll make notes of that so that we can at least talk about the seniors.
Well, I think I'm going to go on Friday to root them on. I usually try to get to most of the senior nights anyway.
Yeah. I got one more that I remembered because he's a captain, Ethan Rafe Snyder.
Okay.
So so Ethan, I don't want to miss out on the captains there. So looking forward to that.
Well, it's nice. You and I both teach in the system, and so we've had many of these kids. I had Josh in school, so I like to get to those senior nights and root them on, and it's amazing how much they've changed.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
you're in elementary, I'm in middle school,
Yeah.
and to see them as seniors is.
Yeah. I mean, even for me with elementary, you get them as a kindergartner, and then they're 6th grade, and it's like totally different kid, and then obviously from there.
Right.
But you're right.
All right. So next week is a lot of Kingswood. This week. We're wrapping up the Celtics. We're wrapping up the Red Sox.
Yeah, wrapping it up.
And so next week it's just going to be Kingswood and Patriots.
That's great. That's okay. I'm all right with that.
You're okay?
Because
So,
I'm excited about both.
let's talk Celtics. They lost in 6.
Yeah.
I had them losing in 5. You had them winning in 7.
I had them winning in 7.
A couple questions. Do you think that they deserved to win? Was there any part of this series that said that things just didn't go their way, or that was Miami the better team?
Yeah, I think I was disappointed, but I think Miami was the better team. I mean, I was coming off the high of the Raptors series.
Yep.
I mean, that was awesome, and I guess for me, there was an expectation that Boston was going to win. They were, if you look at all the experts, not just us, they were favored to win. It was almost like, and I think we may have said this on the show, that we expected them, or at least maybe I said this, I expected them to beat Miami and have an opportunity to win the championship. And that didn't happen. And even in game, like you look at games like 1 and 2 that I know we've talked about, I mean, the Celtics had leads, and they had leads that they couldn't hold. And then they made some really poor decisions, particularly in the third quarter of some of the games.
I would argue that they played better at the beginning of the series than they did at the end. I thought they outplayed Miami at the beginning.
Yeah.
But they played poorly down the stretch in those games.
Yeah.
Whereas they were outplayed certainly in Game 6, they were outplayed.
Yeah.
That was hard to
Well,
watch.
especially the last few minutes.
Yeah, I mean that was, but
Yeah.
but they keep reverting back to, I'm gonna call it bad Celtic basketball.
It is.
Where they took 9 shots in the last 3 minutes or something like that. 7 of them were threes.
Yeah. Right.
And 2 of them were regular 2s where they tried to get to the net. Miami, on the other hand, took about 9 shots also, and it's not exact.
Right.
Where 7 of them were not 3s, they were 2s,
Yeah.
and 2 of them were 3s.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Celtics get into this 3 thing, and I mean they were chucking up bricks too.
Yeah.
And so what worries me about this team is that they get tight. They get tight, and you're asking a lot, guys that are tight putting up 3-pointers.
Right.
Rather than getting to the basket and going for a layup or getting to a foul line.
Yeah.
I'm concerned moving forward. I was very excited about this team, for most of the year. It was a long year, and considering that, it's actually been a calendar year since last October.
Right.
Was this team, but I think there's a little bit of a DNA issue in this team. That I'm not sure if and I put it on our notes, should they get broken up a little bit? Do they need a change in that DNA? And if they do, who stays, who goes?
Right. So, give me this. Pick 2 players to build around that are on the current team. What 2 would you pick?
Daniel Tice. No, I'm just kidding.
I like Daniel Tice. But
You don't build around him.
You're not going to build around Daniel Tice or Taco Fall.
So, I mean, I know we've been down on Tatum a lot.
Yeah.
But at least I've been down on Tatum. I still think he's still your centerpiece that you would build around because his ceiling is pretty high.
And he's very young.
He needs a veteran to come in though and chill him out, because he believes he's a lot better than he is.
Right.
And he does things, and the complaining about the fouls and stuff like that. He needs a Kevin Garnett, and we talked about that on the radio. But he needs a Kevin Garnett to come in and just say, "Hold on there, Rook. We got some learning to do."
Right.
And then I choose between Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown. I like Jaylen Brown. I like Jaylen Brown. I think he gives that speed on the wing. He gets to the basket. He seems to be able to handle the moment a little bit better. But then Marcus Smart, on the other hand, gives you that defensive and that tenaciousness, but he takes such bad shots.
Yeah.
And so could you correct the shooting?
Probably. So keep those three. I mean, because I was going to say Tatum and Brown, but I love Smart. So keep Smart. Keep Smart in the mix. So if you've got those three.
Hayward gone.
Hayward's, I agree. Hayward gone.
What about Kemba Walker?
Kemba Walker is he's the highest paid Celtic.
He's a max guy.
He's max guy. And did he give the Celtics enough? Obviously, he didn't give him enough to win a championship, but did he give him enough to advance deep into the playoffs?
I don't think they got to where they are because of Kemba Walker.
No, I agree.
And I think that they could have done that with who's the guy that didn't get along with Kyrie, that played in place of Kyrie and played really well last year, the year before last year. Anyway,
okay.
I think they could have got there where they are now with a serviceable point guard.
Okay.
Because that's all he gave you in the playoffs. He gave you more than that during the year. He gave you more than serviceable during the year, but he didn't give you much more than serviceable. Maybe the Toronto series he had 1 or 2 games where he stood out a little bit. But did he have any good games in this series?
No, not in the Miami series.
No. And he took some bad shots. And
Yeah.
what I was looking for from Kemba Walker, just because he's a 9-year veteran, leadership. I was looking for leadership.
Yeah.
And they're getting their leadership from Marcus Smart. For the most part.
Right.
And Marcus Smart, he does have that, but he's 25.
Yeah, 25, 26. Yeah.
So
let's ask the $1 million question. Brad Stevens. Is he, by replacing Brad Stevens, could you light a fire under this team? Is he the change that you're looking for?
I don't think that Brad Stevens is as untouchable as he was.
Right.
Because he's got a pretty good amount of talent there right now.
Yeah.
He does. And what he doesn't have is there's no mystery why the Lakers are in the finals. The Lakers are in the finals because of LeBron James.
Yeah. Well, and also Pat Riley.
The Lakers?
Oh, excuse me.
maybe a little hangover.
20 years ago. Sorry. But so LeBron James. But if you got I'm okay. So getting back to Brad Stevens, I'm okay if you were to get rid of Brad Stevens. But I don't know, is that going to be enough to fix, for lack of a better term, fix the Celtics?
I think there's some concerns that Stevens was tuned out a little bit down the stretch because their end of game shots were not what he drew up. There's no chance that Tatum dribbling the ball for 22 seconds is what he drew up.
Right.
So that's very concerning. And now you got a young player who's talking to Kyrie.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other issue.
And pretty vocal about that.
Now, there is a coach that is now on the market.
Yeah, Doc Rivers.
And who had some success in Boston, obviously, won a championship.
Yep.
But I would argue that the reason why they won that championship and competed as well as they did was not because of Doc Rivers, was because of Kevin Garnett.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I think that Kevin Garnett is the guy that they need. A Kevin Garnett
not Kevin Garnett.
No, but a Kevin Garnett, someone
with that presence.
A real leader that can command the floor and command the locker room, and that Tatum would look up to. And I don't know if there is
anybody.
Who is that, bro?
I was going to say, who is that person?
I don't know. I don't know if there is anybody out there because he really, really thinks he's the cat's meow right now.
Yeah.
And
could Marcus Smart become that person?
I don't see Tatum
because of the relationship now
Yeah.
that they have.
I don't. I don't. So, I mean, they got to shake something up. Pretty sure Gordon Hayward will be gone.
Yeah.
And so they're going to, and he's a $30 million a year guy. So you're going to be able to fill that with a quality basketball player.
Right.
Hopefully a big. Because they
need it. They need
a big. I thought Daniel Tice played well. I thought Enes Kanter played well at times. I thought Robert Williams and Grant Williams played well at times.
Definitely.
But you need a 30-minute guy there.
Yeah.
You can't just have that rotation.
Few minutes,
You need a 30-minute guy, and I don't know who's out there, short of Joel Embiid or those kinds of guys that could actually come in.
You put in the notes, get rid of Ainge.
Well, I put in there because I think we had talked about this a couple weeks ago. There is nobody on this team that is the iron-fisted, the buck stops with me, start playing the right way, or listening to the coach or you're out.
Yeah.
Because Ainge is very, very buddy-buddy with this team.
Yeah, and he's really close with Brad Stevens.
So if Brad stays, chances are Ainge is going to stay too, because he's not going anywhere. But he seems to get a pass. Danny Ainge seems to get a pass. They won the title in 2008. It's 2020.
Yeah.
We are talking 12 years.
Yeah.
He's had this slew of draft picks, all these draft picks from Brooklyn and blah, 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 all this kind of stuff.
And you had an easy path to get to the finals this year, and you didn't.
Well, and it's not going to get any easier.
Right.
So next year, Brooklyn's going to have Durant. They're going to have Irving. Yeah. Miami is probably going to have Giannis.
Yep.
So those two teams are going to get better. Toronto is still going to be good.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is still going to be good.
Yeah. This was the year. We had talked about that a little bit on the radio show, and this was their year. And
I mean, the Celtics could be a 5th or 6th place team next year.
They could be.
And I think that they might have shot theirs, that they didn't get there this year. And so I don't necessarily, I put start over, ? Something has to happen. I think that getting rid of Hayward is going to, even though I like Gordon Hayward, I think he, he's a nice presence, and when he's good, he's good. He's just, for 3 years, part of it not his fault. It's a gruesome injury that derailed for a year and a half, basically. But he just hasn't given you enough to satisfy that. And they need that presence, scoring, defense, and so on, and consistency. I would like to see Tatum stay. I would like to see Brown stay. I'd like to see Smart stay. I'm afraid, and I don't know this, but I think the three of them are good enough if they play for each other.
Yeah.
I don't know if they all play for each other, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just have a feeling that there's some
more.
There's a little competitiveness in there. I mean, we see Smart sees himself as a 25-point-a-night guy.
Right.
We know he's not.
No, he sees himself as a three-point shooter as well.
And so so there's that, and then you got Brown and Tatum, who we don't know how well they get along.
Right.
If those two don't get along, because you can't have two alphas.
No.
We've seen it. There's never been two alphas.
And you mentioned the Kyrie thing. So Kyrie's in Tatum's ear.
Yes.
So probably saying you're the best one on the team.
Everything needs to go through you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe it's Brown that has to go. Maybe that's the, because you can get a lot for Brown.
Yeah. Yeah. You get rid of Brown and Hayward. You could probably there's your big man.
Right. And so then now Tatum becomes the alpha.
Yeah.
But it's hard to have two alphas. We pull it off.
I mean, yeah, we do a great job.
You were going there, weren't you?
Jeez, I was going there. The biggest alpha really in the room is Timothy Goodwin.
That's true.
So, yeah.
That's true.
All right, so are we putting the Celtics to rest at least for a while?
I think we are putting the Celtics to rest because I'm not going to want to talk about the NBA anymore.
I'm definitely not going to want to talk about the NBA.
The Lakers are most likely going to win. I'm going to root for Miami, but I'm not going to watch.
Yeah, I'm going to root for Miami as well. I'll flip in between. I'll watch.
I think I'm a New Hampshire kid. I like that. Especially now that he's not shooting threes against the Celtics.
True.
So that's pretty interesting. But I think that's it for basketball for a while.
Do you think?
They're talking January.
I was going to ask the question: When are we starting up the NBA again?
I'm literally reading your mind right now.
This is really, really crazy. So January, get the NBA season going again.
I'm hearing January.
That's great. That's really right around the corner.
A full 82-game season.
Wow. So not much of a break for for the playoff teams.
No. And no bubble.
Really?
Yeah. No bubble.
Okay. All right.
Well, they're going to try to do what the NFL is doing.
Just no fans or limited fans, depending upon. Okay. Goodbye, Celtics.
Goodbye, Celtics. Well, speaking of goodbyes, and I didn't put them in here, the Red Sox are also done.
Okay.
They finished 24-36, I believe, was their record.
Respectable. Sorry.
Well, I
It
would
actually wasn't not as bad as we thought they were going to be.
I said 25 and 35.
Yeah.
That's what I had said. 25 and 35. So, 24 and 36. We had talked down the stretch. They were playing 500 ball.
Mm-hmm.
The young guys look. I think they have a pitching staff next year.
They look good. Yeah.
I think they have a pitching staff. I think that they have some of the crucial positions.
We know they got third, short. They got first.
They got third. That's good.
Yep.
If they want to have catcher, they still have catcher. If they want to have center field, they still have center field.
That, yeah. What are your thoughts about that with the whole JBJ thing? When you look at that, I mean, it was almost like everyone was saying it's his farewell tour, and I'm not feeling that way. Like I think he's coming back.
I think he is too.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, he had a pretty. I mean, he was 280, I think, this year.
Yeah.
You know, which is for him is pretty good.
And his defense is awesome. So.
And he also provides a lot of leadership in that locker room.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the BLM stuff and the social movement stuff.
Yeah.
He was a very large voice in that locker room about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's going to be back.
Yeah, I think he's going to be back.
You know, a decent number. So Benintendi, you and I are both agreed that he needs to be gone. I think Martinez needs to be gone too.
Oh, I agree.
Did you see him whining about his performance lacked because of COVID and it's really hard to play in this situation?
Yeah, really, it's a big challenge.
Give me a break.
I know.
You know.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, people are going to work, and
you know, there's people
with a mask on
the front lines, you know, at Walmart, working at Walmart and things like that. And we're
first responders, teachers.
We're going to work too. So
give me a break.
Very challenging not to be able to work on your hitting in your private batting cage.
Jeez. I'm ready for him to be gone too, and they need to turn the page.
Yeah.
Renicky was fired.
Yeah, not unexpected. We had talked about that. I mean, he was just kind of a.
Do you think they should have waited until after the game?
He did manage that last game as well.
What the heck?
Yeah, the timing. But they also did it during the Pats game.
Yeah.
Right. They released it during.
They tried to.
Yeah, we're gonna just put this in here. No one will ever know because none of us have Twitter.
Yeah, this is weak. It was just weak, and so he was asked today. Sam Kennedy, the president of the Red Sox, was asked about candidates. He said, "I don't really want to talk about it. It's Hyde Bloom's."
We already know who it is.
And then they asked him about Alex Cora. He says, "Is he a candidate?" And he says, "I'm not going to talk about candidates."
Okay.
So he didn't say no.
Right. Well, yeah.
I think it's going
to be Alex Cora.
The only reason why it might not be Alex Cora is because Alex Cora is not Hyde Bloom's guy.
Yeah.
So he might want to bring in one of his guys.
I don't know who he's going to bring in though. Like Alex Cora. I mean, Alex Cora is good for the clubhouse.
What do you think of Joe Madden?
I mean, I was always a Madden fan. That guy's like a genius.
I mean, he's
wizard.
He's won with the Cubs.
Yeah.
He's been there for a decent amount of time.
Yeah. He's in the same category for me as La Russa.
Okay. So he's a Tampa guy, and that's where Bloom's coming from.
Yeah.
So they have some history there.
That'd be great.
I think that's a possibility.
That'd be great.
What do you think about John Lester coming back to the Red Sox?
I think that would also be fantastic. I wish John Lester never left the Red Sox.
Well, and that was just an absolute shame.
Yeah.
I mean, they nickeled and dimed him,
Yep.
and then they turned around and gave David Price $250 million.
You said the name.
Sorry.
Gosh, David Price.
So, as we go into the offseason for the Red Sox, I think that there is some hope. I have not been following all around baseball that much, though.
Yeah.
Just about everybody made the playoffs, except for Houston, I don't think made the playoffs.
Houston made the playoffs. They did make the playoffs, yeah.
They were they were well under 500.
They made the playoffs, yeah.
Okay,
Houston
that's
made
too bad.
Because there's like 8 teams from each
Your
American
guy,
League, National
Mike
League.
Trout, did not make the playoffs.
No, he's still my guy, though.
Oh.
Oh.
How was his season?
It's okay.
Was it?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten into baseball. I'm sorry, I just haven't.
I'm going to watch some playoff baseball. I want the Yankees to lose. And I don't know. So I guess I'm going to root for. All right. So my American League team, because you asked, not really. It's going to be the Oakland A's. I'm going to ride the Oakland A's as far as I can, and my National League team will be the Dodgers.
Really?
The Giants aren't in it, so I would have
They didn't
gone.
make the playoffs?
San Francisco Giants didn't make it. It was down to the last day. It was actually kind of exciting, but they didn't make. You didn't see that about Hunter Pence? Did you see that?
Oh, I saw he retired.
Yeah, so he retired. So the Giants were still had a chance. He was out in McCovey Cove in his boat with a sign, because he wanted to get a home run ball, still cheering for them. He hasn't played since August.
Oh, okay.
Like 16th or whatever.
Oh, all right.
So he was out there. He was out there in his boat holding up a sign, rooting for the Giants. Didn't help, but I thought it was pretty cool.
That's
cool little story.
That is neat.
Yeah.
Baseball needs a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Baseball's Major League Baseball's in a little trouble. They're going to have to reset this.
Yeah.
They're going to, I'm assuming they'll come back in April next year.
Yeah.
Maybe with fans, probably with fans. April.
I hope so.
Probably with some fans anyway. The Red Sox were intending to have fans in September.
Really?
They had a plan for 7,000 fans.
That's interesting, though. But I think because of Massachusetts, because
Massachusetts said no.
Said no, because I was going to say
But
because
the Red Sox had a plan.
Gillette Stadium doesn't have any fans.
Yeah, the Red Sox had a plan for 7,000. Time of games, and this year was terrible. There was no fans in the stands, but yet we were still 4 hours a game.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox are just ridiculously notorious for their length of their games.
Yeah, they take forever, and I didn't like the times that they started. Like, I don't know. It was frustrating.
So, all right, Patriots. They beat the Raiders.
Yeah.
I would call it a tale of two halves.
Yeah. Well, you had actually said, I'll give you credit because you had called it. You said it was going to be tight the first half, and then the Patriots would eventually end up running away with it.
And that's exactly what happened. I don't know why they do that. Why the Patriots do that? It's like this feeling out period that they do in the first half.
Yeah.
And then when they figure you out, then they put their foot on the gas and they go. And that seems to be what happened. Burkhead was out of nowhere. I was watching the CBS pregame, and they had said, watch out for fantasy. They said, watch out for Rex Burkhead. Where they had that information?
Wow.
Because he hasn't done anything fantasy-wise for 2 years for the most part. And he comes out with 3 touchdowns and a lot of touches.
Yep.
And he ran hard.
He did.
And Taylor, the rookie, he ran hard. He looked good. Sony Michel looked pretty good. But Sony Michel looked good once Taylor was in there, and then
we had texted each other. Sony Michel looked terrible to start the game.
Yep.
And then Taylor went in, and Taylor was running hard, and he was getting the corner, and he just looked good. And I think I sent the text to you as I think New England has found their new running back. Oh. And then all of a sudden, Belichick, I mean, it's true, it's total Belichick. Like he would do, puts Michelle back in, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I'm really literally running from my job.
Yep.
So he went in there and put up some great numbers.
I think he should be running for his job.
Yep.
I think that they could fill that. Waiting for Damian Harris, hopefully this week.
That's what they're saying, yeah, but you never know.
So,
but the fact that, Sony Michel had a great game.
Cam Newton played well.
Yeah.
I'd say well, except for that one pick.
Yeah.
He had a very slow start to that game.
We had talked to a little bit. He's going to have a pick a game probably. I mean, he's going to. I think he's going to throw an interception.
I miss Brady's throwing motion.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
dropping back and 3-step, then 5-step drop in the pocket.
It's so smooth. Yeah. Cam Newton looks like he's throwing a boulder at a street sign every time. He's just
I know.
On the screen back.
Yeah.
And it's just everything else. His whole body is thrown into it, and it's not smooth,
fluid,
and
right?
Like that. So I do miss that. But he's getting the job done. Yeah. And right now the Patriots are looking pretty decent. That Raiders team is a good team. They're going to win some games. Mm-hmm. Buffalo goes out there. We're not going to do picks today, but Buffalo goes out there this week. Yeah. If we were doing picks, or maybe on the radio we will
take the Raiders.
I'm going to take the Raiders on that.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Because I think Buffalo's good, but I don't think they're as good as people are making them out to be. Mm-hmm. And you have wins against the Jets, who are awful.
Right.
You barely got by Miami, who I guess Miami they beat
they're
Jacksonville,
okay,
so Miami's okay. And then the Rams game, you were up early, and the Rams came all the way back.
Yeah.
Now this is a Rams team that has played Baltimore, went back, then came back for Buffalo.
Right.
They've got some miles on them.
Yeah.
And that a Rams team that should have lost to Dallas at home in that opening.
Yep.
So I don't think this Rams team is that great.
No.
I mean, and
they played well against the Bills.
I mean, I think that the Bills might not be as good as we're thinking, but who knows? We'll see in a few weeks when the Patriots play them. Concerns about the defense for the Patriots?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, I think it kind of goes to show you that New England's going to have to score a few more points than we thought to win some games. I mean, I still like the secondary, but I'm a little bit worried about their run defense. the New England's run defense is.
Yeah.
It's not. There's some holes.
Well, and I think they're dropping back. It brings it back to the linebackers. Those linebackers are really young.
Yeah.
And they're not. They don't have a lot of.
Don't have a lot of reps.
No, and I think that's where we're seeing it because guys are getting the edge. They're not sealing that edge like you're usually accustomed to seeing a Patriots team doing.
Right.
But I also think they're dropping back in the coverage because I think the secondary is not holding up its end of the bargain as well as they should.
Yeah.
McCourty was late getting to that ball at the end of the half.
He was.
And he's very seldom is he late on things like that.
Yeah.
But he was late getting there. Gilmore has taken a penalty. They have 7 penalties, 3 of them are
right.
Gilmore.
Yeah. Which is uncharacteristic.
Yeah, and guys are getting touchdowns on him. They're getting open, so that extra money did not help him. They just seem to, and it's early still, but boy, are they going to be tested this week.
This week, it's a huge test.
Okay. Rest of the NFL, the Chiefs are undefeated.
Yep.
You had mentioned that. You're not sure if they're going to lose.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are the best team. Well, they're the best team right now in the NFL, and maybe the best team at the end of the season.
Yeah. And it's a long ways away.
Yeah.
COVID shutting down the Tennessee and Vikings camps. Did you see that?
I did see that.
That came at the end.
Yeah, that came. Yeah.
So my question to you is that if they don't play this week,
yeah.
So that 3 players and 5 personnel tested positive for Tennessee. Tennessee is supposed to play Pittsburgh this week.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know why they tested positive. Let's say they don't play and they can't figure out the bye weeks and blah 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 and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What happens to this game? It's not like you can play a doubleheader.
Not in football.
So what happens to this game?
I mean, they've got to figure it out. They've got to figure out what the bye week. They have to do some flex scheduling. They got to play the game. I mean, what are you gonna give them? Both a forfeit? Both a loss?
Well, why couldn't
You're not gonna give them both a win.
Why couldn't you give Tennessee the loss?
All right.
What if Tennessee? The reason why they've got infected was that they were a little loose with their protocols. They were pulling a Pete Carroll, not wearing the masks. They went out to the strip bars, and
well, I don't know.
Things they're not supposed to do. What if they were negligent in following the safety protocols? Should they deserve a loss at that point?
Yeah. Well, I'm actually going to back up a little bit because I just thought about this. If a team, forget COVID for a second, if the Patriots arrive and 6 of their players have the flu or a cold or 5 broken legs and this and that, you still have to, play the game. Or if you don't have enough personnel, you would have to forfeit. So I say go ahead. You're right. I mean, you make a good point. They should have to forfeit because they are the ones that unfortunately have COVID.
Right. Somewhere along the lines, they let somebody into the facility that
some protocol was not followed.
Right. So I think that they should have to do everything to play the game. I think Tennessee should sign everybody off their practice roster.
Yeah.
I think they should have to sign people off the streets.
Yeah.
They they could bring in Jackson McCullough and bring him into the game if they had to.
I say do it.
But they have to play the game. And if you can't play the game, then you have to forfeit.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good point that you bring up. If they had the flu, they would have to play.
Right.
So you got to figure this out. And I think that would put extra incentive on teams to follow protocols, to keep things safe. We're not taking a week off.
Right.
You're playing.
Right.
Now, my understanding is that the NFL has built in that they could play the Super Bowl up to a month later than what they had planned on.
So to kind of put in some cushion.
So we could have a March Super Bowl.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I know. So,
sure.
And we already talked about what we do with canceled games. So we're going to do a little power ranking for Mike and the Hoss.
Nice. Like between us, who's more powerful? I'd say you are probably.
I think so. I lifted yesterday, so.
Wow, you're looking jacked. Wow. Don't flex.
So only 3 teams. We're not going to put all 32 teams down.
Okay.
And we're going to try and do this every week.
Yep.
About who we think is number 1. So I'm going to start.
Okay.
Well, I think we both agreed to the number 1 team.
Yeah, we do.
So Kansas City is the number 1 team.
Yeah, the Chiefs are the number 1 team. So I'm gonna write this down so we don't forget.
A little side note: how are the Patriots going to do against Kansas City this week?
I think it's going to be a huge challenge. I don't ever root against the Patriots, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots ended up in second place in this game.
Second place,
meaning they don't win.
Oh.
First place might be Kansas City. I'm worried about it because with Patrick Mahomes, I mean, not only can he throw, and he's got some great receivers, he can then run. So even if our coverage, being the Patriots' coverage, is phenomenal, Mahomes can just take off. And
This reminds me, this is back in the early 90s. I don't even remember this. The Bills were really, really good. And they had a high-flying offense. Remember with Jim
Like Kelly, yeah.
Jim Kelly
Yeah.
and all those guys.
Sure.
And they went to Kansas City, and they were like 4-0, and Kansas City hadn't done much. Marty Schottenheimer was coaching at the time. But they had, I want to say his name was Christian Okoye.
That's it. Yeah, the running back, yeah.
And the Bills had like 6 possessions all game.
Yeah.
They just pounded and pounded and pounded the ball. Kansas City did.
Yeah, and just chewed the clock.
Just chewed up the clock. And I think the Patriots personnel is, I wish David Andrews was in there because, boy, I felt that they showed in them not having David Andrews. And they're not going to have him for 3 games. So
although they did show it, but you know what? Look at all the yards the Patriots got on the ground last week.
Yeah.
I mean, it was okay.
Okay. So I think I think the Patriots are built for that. I think Cam Newton is built for this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cam Newton gives them a dimension to slow that clock down, and this game is gonna last about 2 hours.
Yeah. Well,
it's gonna be really, really fast because the Patriots are gonna have 10-minute drives.
Right. You just explained that's the only way that you could beat him. You need to keep the ball out of the hands of Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
So chew the clock up. Yep.
And I think the Patriots are built for it. Yeah. I still don't think they're going to win at the end of the day, but I think it's going to be like a 24-21 game.
Yeah. If it's, once again, if this is a game that's close and the Patriots compete, I think the Patriots are continuing to shock the NFL.
Okay. Who's your second team in our power rankings?
So I'm going to go with.
Well,
you said
we had Seattle, who's 3-0.
Yeah. Yep.
Who's up there?
Buffalo Bills
3-0.
Are 3-0.
Titans are 2-1.
Yeah.
The Patriots are 2-1.
Yeah.
The Saints are 2-1. Green Bay is 3-0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers looking good.
Did they beat the Saints the other night?
Yeah. I mean, they really beat them.
They did.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Saints must not be 2-1 then. Maybe they are. The 49ers are 2-1.
Yeah.
They had an impressive win with a lot of injuries.
I was going to say.
Chiefs are 3-0. We already went. The Bears are 3-0.
Yeah. So I'm going to go.
Come back.
I'm going to go. I got my second pick.
Okay.
Seattle. Seattle's my number 2.
Seattle is my number 2 also.
Okay.
Then it gets interesting.
This is really, this is where, and I know that, like, I would probably say Buffalo, and I know that you're kind of like, Buffalo's not for real.
I think I'm up, though.
But, I know, but I'm just saying, what I'm telling you, I'm giving you my thought process to give you an opportunity to select. All right?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
What do you want to go with?
I'm going with New England. I'm
Okay.
going with New
You're
England.
going
I think right now, New England
at 2-1.
at 2-1.
But a good one.
Well,
because it was against the Seahawks.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks beat Dallas.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks beat, I don't know, Carolina was their first week win?
The Panthers.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, but
All right, so
the
you're
Seahawks look really good. So I am going to go with the Patriots as the 3 team in our power rankings. I have them better than the Bills.
Okay.
I have them better than the Packers. I have them better than the Steelers. I think the Steelers are a fraudulent 3-0 team.
They're always fraudulent.
And yeah, Dallas.
All right.
Dallas is 1-2, so they're not even a 2-1 team. They're
No,
1-2.
I don't even know why Dallas is up there. That's a courtesy to McCullough again.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's nice. I am going to select the Bills. So Patriots are my 4, but we only have 3. So I'm going to go with Buffalo.
Okay.
And I think Buffalo, until New England faces them, I think Buffalo's legit. So.
All right. I think Buffalo loses this week. I mean, I think Patriots are probably going to lose this week too, but I think Buffalo loses this week. I think they lose bad.
This week?
I think the Raiders are going to beat them up pretty good.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think the Raiders are going to win. But
all right. I think that's it for us.
is that really? Nothing left? All right.
I don't know how long we went, but it feels like we went a long time.
Yeah, we had a lot to talk about today.
All right, that's going to do it for us. I want to thank our sponsors, Morrison's Porch and Pub,
Skelly's Market,
and Downtown Grill and Cafe. Thank you, and we will see you next week with Kingswood Sports.
Awesome. Go Knights.
Go Knights.